Zurjewali kicked off a three-day official visit to India yesterday. The first such high-ranking visit since Nepal issued its political and administrative map incorporating the encroached land of Lipulek and Limpiadhura has been seen with significant interest by the political fraternity. The visit is set to discuss a gamut of issues between the two neighbors, while preparations are also underway to present the much-touted EPG report. Good morning, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. The two factions of the Nepal Communist Party intensify intra-factional activities. Oli camp concludes the dissolved house will not be reinstated. Dahal camp to wage stern protests. Political crisis deepening further due to the delay by the Apex Court and the Election Commission in settling contentious issues of national interest. The government called for financial assistance to procure vaccines for combating COVID-19 hints at bankruptcy of state coffers, along with raising ethical issues. And the fourth edition of the Prime Minister's Cup one-day cricket tournament to kick off today. Tribhuvan Army Club to clash against Gandaki Province in the inaugural match. The factions led by the chairman duo of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and Pushpakamal Dahal, have intensified intra-factional activities, concluding that the party is on the verge of a split. The standing committee meeting of the Dahal faction commenced from yesterday at the capital's Paris Dara in Koteshwar and proceeded on to fix the agendas, including the division of responsibilities, internal power conflict, and strengthening the second phase of protests against the dissolution of the lower house. According to the leaders participating in yesterday's meeting, the faction has started preparations to complete the remaining integration task of former CPN Maoist and CPN UML. The next meeting is scheduled for today. Likewise, the meeting of the Oli-led faction held yesterday at the Prime Minister's official residence in Balwatar concluded that the party ownership rested with them. The faction has also decided to gear up for the upcoming elections, concluding that the dissolved House of Representatives would not be reinstated. The meeting decided to hold election rallies in all the 7 provinces and 77 districts. Leader Prithvi Subba Gurung informed that the meeting also decided to intensify the expansion of the internal organization as a campaign. Following the dissolution of the lower house on 20th of December, both the factions have been holding separate meetings and taking actions against each other. The Oli faction has geared up for the election programs, while the Dahal faction has been staging protests demanding for the reinstatement of the House of Representatives. There has been an unexpected delay in addressing serious issues of national concern, including the dissolution of the House of Representatives, the Constitutional Council, the cabinet expansion, and the legitimacy of the Nepal Communist Party, which is likely to have a long-term impact on national politics. However, concerned authorities who are responsible to adjudicate the cases timely have shown no readiness. We have more in this report.
Even as the House was dissolved almost a month ago, the issue is still pegged with controversy at the Supreme Court, as the bone of contention has been on whether to hear the case in the Constitutional Bench or in the extended full bench. 13 writ petitions were filed at the Apex Court on 21st of December challenging the government move. Despite the gravity of the case having its direct bearing in the national politics along with question marks on the Constitution, the hearing has been limited to only 3 days as of Thursday. At a time when the government has already announced of midterm election in April and May, there is serious urgency to deal with the case on House dissolution at the earliest from the Apex Court. Likewise, the writ against the Constitutional Council ordinance related to this case also holds tremendous significance. However, there has been no preliminary hearing on the case so far, as the Supreme Court has been rescheduling the hearing dates. It has been more than a month since the Council recommended officials to be appointed at the constitutional bodies based on this ordinance. However, as per constitutional guidelines, the recommended individuals would be appointed to the post automatically after 45 days in case parliamentary hearings are not held. Likewise, the Apex Court has set a date of 2 weeks without holding continuous hearing in the dispute over the controversial cabinet expansion. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has been delaying to finalize the ownership of the divided Nepal Communist Party. Even as the dispute could be settled immediately based on the documents and evidence submitted by both the faction along with legal provisions, the Commission, however, is in a mood of wait and watch. Analysts have opined that the political crisis is deepening further due to the delay by the court, and the Commission is settling contentious issues of national concern.
The meeting of the Nepal-India Joint Commission is scheduled for today in the Indian capital, New Delhi. Foreign Minister Pradeep Gyawali reached India for the meeting yesterday. The Nepal-India Joint Commission is the highest bilateral mechanism between the two nations. According to the Foreign Ministry, the meeting is set to dwell on the Nepal-India border issues, mutual cooperation in the fight against COVID-19, bilateral trade and transit issues, among others. The Nepalese side will also prioritize the report submitted by the Eminent Persons Group that India has yet to receive. Thereafter, Minister Gyawali is scheduled for other high-level political meetings. Minister Gyawali's visit has been looked upon with great interest given the turbulent exchanges between the two nations in the past year and the unstable political state of the country back home. Minister Gyawali is scheduled to return tomorrow. Meanwhile, considering the government's announcement of holding midterm elections, civil rights activists have urged the minister to refrain from signing any agreements with India that could have a long-standing impact in the country, weakening the country, or add to the economic burden. The government has estimated that the procurement of the vaccines against coronavirus would cost 25 billion rupees at the most. The government has been increasing the financial constraint by appointing officials in unnecessary administrative posts and running campaigns in the districts, while a fund has been set up to obtain vaccines to combat coronavirus. Meanwhile, questions have been raised over the government's ethics as the authorities have been charged of random spending of the previously established fund. We have more in this report.
The Ministry of Health and Population issuing a press release on Wednesday called for financial support for the procurement of vaccines. The fund was established by the Health Ministry through the decision of the Council of Ministers. The ministry, through the press release, has urged industrialists, social and charity organizations, among others, to contribute financial assistance in the fund. The government has prioritized vaccines that cost between $2 to $10. The ministry has an objective of providing free vaccination to around 72% of the total population, while the estimated cost for the procurement of vaccines alone is 5 to 25 billion rupees. The government has previously established a fund seeking financial assistance for the prevention and containment of coronavirus. Even as over 2.77 billion rupees was collected in the fund, the transparent transaction is not made public as of now. Likewise, the government has randomly spent 30 billion rupees that was raised in the name of Social Security Scheme for labourers. The government has not refrained from haphazard spending of the amount in the fund and proceeded with appointment of administrative personnel. At a time when the designated candidates are unable to get a job, over 3,500 officials were appointed without any administrative competition riding on political connection. The misuse of the government funds has also increased as leaders have engaged in various political events amid the virtual split of the Nepal Communist Party. The scenario where the government has started seeking financial assistance from the donor agencies to procure the vaccines for the treatment and control of coronavirus has hinted at the possible bankruptcy of the state. In the meantime, the announcement of the election has emphasized that the prevention and containment of the coronavirus pandemic was never a government priority.
Insurance schemes were enforced in order to ease health service and make it affordable. However, the schemes have not been greeted enthusiastically in places across the country. In this context, in our Public Voice segment, we had asked the locals in Sindhupalchok district, why have the health insurance programs not been effective? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सरकारले स्वास्थ्य कार्यनीति त ल्यायो तर कार्यान्वयन गर्ने निकाय फितलो भएको कारणले गर्दा जनताले प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा लाभ लिन सकेनन्।
सरकारले हामीलाई केही कुराको जानकारी नै दिनु भएको छैन अनि हामी त लडमुखा भएर घरमा बसिरहेका छौं।
कुन रोग सम्बन्धी कुन विषयमा यसले चाहिँ सहयोग पुर्याउँछ भन्ने कुरा पनि थाहा छैन।
स्वास्थ्य बिमा भने के हो, कस्तो कस्तो अवस्थामा यो लागू हुन्छ, यसको टाइम अवधि कस्तो हुन्छ, कति सेवा सुविधा पाइन्छ, रिन्यू गर्नुपर्छ कि पर्दैन भन्ने कुरा पहिला प्रश्न पार्नु पर्यो।
जुन निम्न स्तरका जनताहरू छन् जसलाई चाहिँ त्यो उपचारको अति आवश्यक छ, जसले चाहिँ त्यो उपचार लागेको रोग लागेको खण्डमा उपचार गर्न सक्दैन, त्यो उपचार गर्ने सक्ने मान्छेलाई चाहिँ यो जानकारीको अभाव छ।
And it's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. And here's the question. Why has violence in the name of superstition not stopped? Your options are A, lack of awareness, B, educated yet superstitious, and C, lack of legal punishment. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for the sports news. The Prime Minister's one-day cricket tournament is kicking off today onwards in the capital. Tribhuvan Army Club and Gandaki Province are set to lock horns in the inaugural match of the tournament. The match between Army and Gandaki is slated to begin at 9:30 this morning at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Ground in Kantipur. Army's team will be headed by Captain Binod Bhandari. However, will be missing Karan Keshi, Kushal Malla and Sompal Kami as they are preparing for the T10 leagues. Captain Binod has said the absence of these players might affect the team's performance. However, added that he had hopes from the new players. Army were the runners-up in the last installment of the tournament and has been in the finals 3 times before. Meanwhile, the Gandaki team will be led by Captain Bipin Khatri. 10 teams, including 3 departmental teams, will participate in the tournament. Group A comprises of Army, APF, Gandaki, Province 1 and Karnali Province. Group B has defending champions Nepal Police Club, Bagmati Province, Lumbini Province, Province 2 and Sudur Paschim Province. The tournament matches will also be held at the Mulpani Cricket Ground from Sunday. The Prime Minister Cup one-day tournament is the only 50-over tournament in the country, and this installment is the first time Cricket Association of Nepal will be organizing. The National Sports Council had started the tournament 4 years back when CAN was under suspension from the International Cricket Council. As the tournament failed to receive major sponsors, the prize money has been reduced to 500,000 rupees for the winners and 250,000 rupees for the runners-up. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.